think we like that, hey? Not too bad, not too shabby. How we digging that, yo? Oh, this is gonna be a nerdy one today. I'm excited for this one. You know what? Regardless if you are a beginner or an advanced lifter, this is gonna be a very helpful video because I think so many people are just going into the gym and just trying to lift as heavy as possible. Not that that is a bad thing, but when we are just focused on lifting as heavy as possible for every single set and or taking each set to failure, we kind of hit a wall at some point and we don't have much room to progress. Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you are new to lifting, we can become very complacent with how much we are lifting. And for those who caught my one video as to why you can't grow your glutes, I posted it a few weeks ago. Make sure you go check it out. We talked about how complacency with our lifting is often holding us back from seeing results. So this is kind of a carryover from that video where today we are going to talk about some different progression models. Because when people do get complacent and or bored with their training, they think to themselves, well, I just need to switch it up and try some different exercises. When in actuality, maybe you just need to implement a progression model so you can gauge your progress and make sure that things are moving in the right direction. So when I talk about progression models, we are going to go over various examples today. And when it comes to picking your progression model, the world is your oyster. Be creative with it. Pick whichever one you like. Implement one of them for a little while, switch it up for another one. You can change up your workout routine by focusing on different progression models without having really changed your actual workout itself. This is something that I've implemented over the years and it does make a huge difference. So we're gonna go over 5 different models today. This is not an exhausted list. This is just some really helpful models that I've implemented with my coaching and my clients over the years, and ones that I implement for myself and I find very engaging and have allowed me to make a good amount of progress when it comes to body composition changes. So for these 5 different models, I'm gonna talk about them in order based off of your experience. So for example, the first progression model is gonna be a little bit more suited for beginners. That doesn't mean that advanced athletes can't use this one. I'm actually currently using this first one, which I will discuss shortly here. But for anybody who is new to lifting, the last one that I go over, that might be something that you want to work up towards. So let's just jump right into it. The first progression model is known as the double progression model. And this is where we increase our reps at a certain load until reaching a predetermined number of reps before we increase the weight. So what the heck does that mean? Well, I think the best way to explain it is with an example. So I have it all out right here for you all. Hopefully you can see that okay. I have my notes so I am not having to go back and forth. Okay, so for the double progression model here, our goal for an example of an exercise, say it's to do 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. We are gonna do this progression model for 5 weeks, okay? So over here, we have our weeks. So for week 1, you can see that we have our load and then we have our number of reps for all 3 sets here, okay? So say for week 1, maybe we're doing back squats or hip thrusts. You know, just be creative with that. You can kind of visualize an exercise that you see fit. 200 pounds for our first set, we are able to do 11 reps, okay? So that's over here. We take our rest period and then maybe we're able to do 10 reps for our second set. And then our last set, we are able to do 10 reps. So since we didn't actually get to that top end of our rep range, which is 12 reps, we are actually going to keep the weight the same for week number 2. So the goal with the double progression model is for us to get the top end of our rep range for a specific exercise for all 3 sets. So for example, so say I was able to actually get 12 reps at 200 pounds for week number 1, then I would go up in weight for week number 2. Remember, when we actually reach that predetermined rep count, that's when we increase our weight. So let's carry on with our example here. So we head into week number 2, same exercise. We are going to stay at the same weight at 200 pounds. We get 12 reps for set number 1. Okay, things are looking pretty good. Set number 2, we only get 11 reps. The last set, we only get 10 reps. So heading into week number 3, we keep the weight the same. So we're still at 200 pounds for this given exercise, where for our first 2 sets, we are able to get 12 reps. And then our third set, we only get 11 reps. Really, really close at getting 12 reps for all 3 sets here. So as we head into week number 4, yet again, the weight stays the same. And then lo and behold, we finally are able to get to 12 reps for all 3 sets. Meaning for our following week, so week number 5, we are going to increase the weight of this given exercise. So maybe we are going to go up by 5 pounds to 205 pounds. And then when we do our sets, we're only able to maybe get 10 reps. And then we repeat the cycle all over again. Like I said, this is a progression model that I am currently implementing. I quite enjoy it. It's easy to kind of gauge. And like I said, if you are new to lifting, it's a very effective progression model. It's simple enough to understand and follow and can be a really great starting point to ensure that you're making that progress that you're looking for. So now moving on to the second progression model. This is going to be the dynamic double progression model. Very similar to the regular double progression, but instead of hitting the top end range of your rep count for all of your sets, you're going to increase the load of a given set. So if you hit, say, 12 reps for one of your sets, the following week, that's when you're going to increase the load just for that given set. So again, let's go over an example. The dynamic double progression, say our goal for a given exercise is to do 3 sets of 8 to 12. You can see we have 5 weeks yet again, but we are looking things from set 1, set 2, and set 3. So we have listed in that the amount of weight in pounds times the number of reps done and completed in a given set. So say for week 1, for set number 1, you lift 100 pounds for 11 reps. We know that the top end range of our rep range is 12 reps, meaning we would keep the load the same for set number 1 heading into week number 2. Same thing for week number 1, we did for set number 2, 100 pounds at 10 reps, and then our third set, 100 pounds at 9 reps. So we don't increase the weight as we head into week number 2. So into week number 2, we do yet again for set number 1, 100 pounds. But we are able to get 12 reps for this first set here, meaning that we are going to increase the weight when we head into week number 3 for set number 1. So that blue arrow means, hey, increase the weight next week. Then we're going to move into set number 2 during week 2. Again, 100 pounds at only 11 reps. Set number 3, we are only able to get maybe 100 pounds at 10 reps. So you can see that our rep count is going up, right? As we head into set number 2, set number 3, but we're not quite at that 12 rep count that we need. So for set number 2 and set number 3, as we head into the next week, we're going to keep the weight the same. So as we head into week number 3 here, as we know, set number 1, we want to increase the weight. So maybe we do 105 pounds, but we're only able to get 11 reps. We drop the weight for sets number 2 and 3. Set number 2, we're able to get 12 reps. Awesome. That means we're getting stronger. So we're going to increase the weight next week. We're still going to keep the weight the same for 100 pounds for our third set, and maybe we only get 11 reps. Now we move into week number 4. And our first 2 sets here, we know are going to be 105 pounds because last week we didn't get 12 reps, so we're going to keep the weight the same. So maybe we do 105 pounds and we are able to get 12 reps. Awesome. We're going to increase the weight for our next week, but we're going to keep the weight the same here for week number 4, set number 2, 105 pounds at 10 reps. And then maybe we rested for a long period of time. And our last set here, we were able to squeeze out those 12 reps. Awesome. Our third set, we are going to increase the weight. Heading into our final week of this training block, we are going to increase the weight yet again because last week we got 12 reps, which is the top end range of our rep count. and we're gonna increase it to 110 pounds. Maybe we only get 11 reps. Last week though, for set number 2, we didn't get to 12 reps, therefore we're gonna drop the weight, and we do 105 pounds for 11 reps, and then keeping the weight the same for our final set here at 105 pounds for 9 reps. So it's a little bit more complicated, but it's kind of nice that you don't have to wait until every single set is at that top end range of your rep count if you're feeling a little bit eager to lift a little heavier. Now we're gonna move on to the linear progression model. This is where in a linear fashion, so week after week after week, we are going to increase the load on a weekly basis. And the intention here is to hopefully get more reps at those heavier loads in time. However, if the load is too heavy, meaning you aren't within your prescribed rep count, that's how you know you need to circle back to a lighter load until you can do more reps in time. So let's go over an example. For the linear progression model, let's say our goal is to do 3 sets of 6 to 10 reps. So we're gonna do this over a 7-week block here. You can see here, like I said, remember, week after week after week, we want to increase the load, but ensure that we are within our rep range, which is 6 to 10. So say for week number 1, we do 315 pounds, where every single set, I think I didn't do the last one, yeah. Every single set, we are able to do 8, 8, and 7 reps, okay? So set number 1 is 8 reps, set number 2 is 8 reps, third set is 7 reps. So you're within that active range of 6 to 10 reps. So week number 2, we are going to increase the weight. So let's say we jump up to 320 pounds. Again, for each set, we are within that prescribed rep range. We are able to get 7 reps for set 1, 7 reps for set 2, and 7 reps for set 3. So we're within that range. Therefore, week number 3, again, we are going to increase our weight. So week number 3, we do 325 pounds, where every single set, we are at that bottom end range of only being able to do 6 reps. So in theory, right, if we are at that bottom range, the bare minimum rep count of 6 reps for every single set, that's our indicator that, hey, I probably shouldn't lift heavier the following week because I'm probably gonna fall out of my prescribed rep count. So when that happens and you're on that bottom end range, that's when I would circle back to the lighter weight and just see how well you do. See if you're able to do even more reps in comparison to week number 1, okay? So that's what we're gonna do here after week number 3. So for week number 4, we're gonna circle back to what we originally did at 315 pounds. And let's see, are we able to get more reps here? And look at that, it certainly seems so. So the first time we got 8, 8, and 7. Well, this time we are doing 9, 8, and 8, which is great. That means we are getting stronger. We're still within that prescribed rep range. So week number 5, we're gonna increase our weight. 320 pounds, yep. As you can see here from all 3 sets, we are doing more reps in comparison to week number 2. Awesome. So moving into week number 6, we're gonna give 325 pounds another try. And look at that, we are doing more reps in comparison to week number 3. Whereas week number 3, we're doing 6 reps for all 3 sets. But as you can see from week number 6, we're not at that bottom end range for our rep count, meaning for week number 7, let's go up in weight to 335. And maybe, yeah, it might be too soon where the first 2 sets you get 6 reps and that final set you get 5 reps, but hey, that's okay. It's definitely a good indication that you are getting stronger if you are able to do more reps at a heavier load. So that's the linear progression model. All right, hopefully you guys are still with me. We got 2 left, which I'm gonna discuss together. So the first one is known as the pyramid progression model, and the last one is the reverse pyramid progression model. So a good way to remember these 2 is that a pyramid progression, a pyramid model, is kind of like your last set, best set mentality. Whereas a reverse pyramid is your first set, best set mentality. Okay, so let's go over an example here. So I got both of them here on the whiteboard, and let's just say our goal, sorry, I didn't write that down. Our goal is to do 3 sets of 6 to 10, okay? So that's what I have down here. That's our goal. That's the prescribed rep count, okay? So 3 sets of 6 to 10. You guys can see that, okay? Cool. So in the first column here, you can see that we have the pyramid progression. What we are doing with this is we are working up to a heavier weight by the time you get to your 3rd set. So last set, best set, right? We want that to be our heaviest and best set of the given exercise. For the first set here of the pyramid progression, maybe we do 350 pounds at 10 reps. So we know that we can do 10 reps at that much weight, therefore let's go up in weight for set number 2. Maybe we do 375 pounds at 8 reps, and then we want to have a top set for our 3rd set here, where we lift as heavy as we can, where we're hitting that minimum low end of that rep range. So maybe by our 3rd set, we are able to do 390 pounds, but for only 6 reps. So that's our heaviest set by the time we get to set number 3. Ignore the total volume right now. I'll talk about why that's important in a minute. Now, if we move over to the reverse pyramid column here, you can see that our first set, we want it to be our heaviest set. Now, before I continue, in order for that to be your heaviest set, you still want to warm up to it, right? All of these different exercises and sets here don't take into consideration your warm-up. So making sure that you're still warming up and working yourself up physically and mentally, and you have that preparedness that is needed in order for you to lift as heavy as possible for your first set is still very important. Don't just jump under the barbell and squat 405 pounds. You definitely want to work up to that, okay? But once you do work up to it, we are able to get 405 pounds for 6 reps. Then when we move over to set number 2, of course, we're going to drop the weight because we don't want to do that low of reps. We want to get a little bit higher, maybe 8 or 9. So we drop the weight back down to 375 pounds and we're able to get 9 reps. By our 3rd set here, we want to get closer to that top end range of our rep count, okay? So that's going to be around 10 reps. So we want to drop the weight yet again, where maybe we do 350 pounds and we can't quite get 10 reps because we're gassed after that really heavy first set there, and we're only able to get 9 reps. So let's talk about the total volume and why I technically think the reverse pyramid model might be a little bit better. It might give you a better edge here. So as you can see, right, for your first set here for the reverse pyramid model is 405 pounds. In theory, right, you're going to lift heavier in comparison to the actual pyramid model where your 3rd set, you only are able to do 6 reps at 390 pounds. And I think logically that makes sense, right? Because by your 3rd set, you're probably pretty gassed. Your central nervous system is just roasted and you can't lift as heavy in comparison to when you're nice and fresh at the beginning of a given exercise, right? Maybe this is the first exercise of your training day and you're able to lift a lot heavier for your first set in comparison to your last set. So because of that, if we are assuming that logic, if we take the total volume of your pyramid model and compare it to your total volume of the reverse pyramid model, as you can see here, the total volume for the reverse pyramid model in theory should be larger in comparison to the pyramid model. So for the pyramid model, we have a total volume amount of 8,840. The reverse pyramid model, we have a total volume amount of 8,955. So again, as you can see, because your first set at 6 reps is technically, should be in theory heavier than the last set at 6 reps for the pyramid model of 390 pounds, it's going to equate to more volume, and more volume is definitely beneficial if you're trying to build muscle. Another thing that is very interesting, if you didn't notice, you can now, that for set number 2, you can see here that 375 pounds is the same for both of these models, but we're doing technically more reps for the reverse pyramid model in comparison to the pyramid model. Why is that? We're doing 9 reps after just lifting 405 pounds, whereas for the pyramid model, we're only doing 8 reps after lifting only 350 pounds. Well, this isn't going to be the case for everybody, but there is a bit of a supercompensation effect here. And this is where we tend to see an elevated amount of preparedness in specific individuals after just lifting a very heavy set. Whereas for set number 2, for the pyramid model, you're still kind of warming up, you're still kind of preparing, you're still kind of increasing that level of alertness. You're more so focused on that 3rd set where that level of concentration may not fully be there for set number 2, because you may feel like you're still warming up. Technically, it's still a working set, but that level of preparedness really isn't there. Whereas for the reverse pyramid model, you can kind of start to relax, right? You're not stressing about that really heavy set because it's already done and over with. So you're feeling good. Maybe you're feeling jacked up after lifting 405 pounds for 6 reps, and your performance is elevated. There's a lot of research that shows that this is the case for a lot of individuals. From an anecdotal standpoint, I've noticed this in myself for specific exercises as well. So that might be a consideration as to why this may be a good model to consider for yourself. Having said that though, it can be very tough for you to gauge how heavy you should be lifting if you're a newbie, right? Like what I said previously, the reverse pyramid model I would reserve for more advanced athletes. That's something that I would work up towards because it can be difficult to ensure that your first set is your heaviest set. It's a little bit easier for individuals to work up to that heavier set. And I'm not saying that the pyramid model isn't a great option. It definitely is if that's where you are currently at. But if you find like, hey, you know what? Let's give the reverse model a try. You've been lifting for quite some time. You're really getting good at the skill set of gauging how heavy you can lift for yourself. That's an important skill set that comes in time and with experience as your lifting career continues to progress. And that's where the reverse pyramid model can be a very effective strategy. All right, well, oh my gosh, that was a lot today, you guys. Go lift some heavy weights. And as complicated as all of this was, I'm just cleaning this off here. As complicated as all of this was, don't overcomplicate it. Have some fun. Don't let these models make you feel overwhelmed. They are just creative ways for you to enjoy your training, so have some fun with it.